Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, I'm on the test server here. We're going to be trying out the new Epic Fusion Champion. I want to be testing how much damage does he do in Insane Gear. Also, like, how valuable is he going to be to that mid-game player in just average gear? Because I think that's mainly where people are going to use him. I've got to say, though, because the Fusion's much easier to get, there's no shards required. It's a completely free-to-play friendly Fusion or Fragment Collector. Then all of a sudden, I'm a bit more interested in what he's like. Yeah, so I've gone out and I've booked him out. I've put him in crazy gear. We're going to be looking at how much damage can he do to start with. HOSKARUL, I do think, actually, he's a good epic. Yeah. The trouble with him is he's not like a game changer for Clan Boss or a game changer in Hydra or a game changer in, like, I don't know, areas where you really want to progress through to endgame. He's not a Geo. He's not an Ugo, but for a progression champion in dungeons specifically for wave-based content, I think he's very good. So we've got an A1 here, places a stun, 40% chance to do it. All of his kit is based off defense, so you don't need to kind of build him squishy. You're building quite tanky, which is nice as well. His A2 is an AoE hit, 60% chance if you book him out, chance to stun. That's actually massive. Like, 60% on an epic chance to stun is really strong. In fact, because of his passive, I was looking for other legendaries with 100% chance to stun. There's very few. There's like 2, 3, 4. It's real, like, bare bones. This ability is a bare bones ability. So a 60% chance to stun, that's kind of like Seal-like stunnage. And Seal, we know, is a top tier legendary. Also got here, decreases the turn meter of enemies under stun already by 15%. So not bad. A3 then removes all stuns from your team, then places increased defense and increased resistance. So I feel like this is pretty much made as a faction war progression type ability. Yeah, so if you get stunned up by some of those annoying bosses in faction wars, you can remove that off and replace it with a nice buff. I thought maybe it could be okay for Bommel, but the trouble with Bommel is you remove the stuns from those bomb explosions, and then you replace it with more buffs, which can be stripped to be replaced by bombs. I guess you are getting increased resistance, but you need a lot of resistance to resist Bommel. Again, for those earlier level Bommels, maybe it's where it's at, because you are going to get yourself a nice little resistance boost, and actually resisting low level Bommel is not that hard to do, but it's not going to scale up to kind of later game. But yeah, there's a fair few bosses where you get stunned up, so I guess it's not a bad cleanse. I would prefer to see this, though, as kind of like cleanses AD buff, honestly, because then it becomes way more relevant in a lot more content. Maybe it's overpowered, I don't know. Increased defense and increased resistance, though, is quite a nice couple of buffs. Resistance less so. I guess resistance depends where you're using it. But this passive here is quite interesting. So immune to stuns himself, which means on those faction war bosses where you're getting stunned, he can still do his A3 and clean the team off because he's not stunned himself. A few people said, you know, should he be a stun target for Clan Boss? I doubt it. He doesn't really bring anything else for Clan Boss. Like, it's real low benefit from him being in Clan Boss. So the second part of his kit here is actually pretty interesting. So increases the damage inflicted by all allies by 15% if they're hitting someone under a stun. So he can stun people up. Also, he gets his own benefit of the stun boost. Yeah, so we're going to be testing him with another stun champion in the team to see how much damage he can do with that going on. But I think he's more about enabling the rest of your team just to do more work. So he's controlling the enemy and then saying, by the way, guys, and you're going to hit for more damage. It's actually a very good passive. And then we've got Faction Crypt Aura here as well. So in terms of masteries for here, we've done Helm Smasher, we've gone for damage masteries, and I've gone full Savage and Cruel to ignore as much defense as possible. 5.8k attack, 224% crit damage. I guess I should put the bandana on for this bit and go maximum damage and see what we can get him to do. Okay, we're going to be trying him at maximum potential, max damage. So we're going to drop the defense and weaken the enemy. We're going to poison the enemy. We're going to stun the enemy as well. We are going to poison ourselves. And then I actually need for him to do increased defense. Are we going to get back to him in time? Hopefully. Just get some A1s going. Push back a bit of turn meter. Goffred's got no gear on. He's slaying people. Good effort, Goffred. Okay, then. So let's try the A1 first against the sleepy little lady here with the stun on. What we got going on here with the A1? 258 single target hit with a chance to stun. That is a pretty hard hit for an epic. So here's the A2. Let's check out this animation. We got, what, 3 which are stunned here and a couple which are not. And it is a single hit. Again, it's got a chance to stun again. Single hit here. 200k across the board. It's strong damage. It's not obscene. Yeah, it's not obscene. We've seen obscene hits which are like 400k. But 200k across the board for an epic is up there as like high level of damage. Yeah, it's a good level of damage. Considering he's got a load of control in that kit as well, it's actually pretty damn juicy. I'm going to change him now into more like a average Joe's build and kind of use him a bit more for what he was meant for. A controlled champion with a bit of a smack. Here we go then. I'm trying to get back to my free-to-play roots here. Maybe we would have picked them up to max load. Come on. Even the free-to-play can max gear, surely. So what we got going on, 197 speed, 100% crit rate, low crit damage, got the accuracy, got some defense, got some health. I stripped my faction guardians out, and I've removed all jewelry to try and make up for my great haul. So I feel like this is more like the average Joe type of build. When you're mid-game, you're probably using a lot of perception gear to get your accuracy up. Ideally, you've got a banner going on as well, instead of my kind of great haul. And then you're trying to make sure that you're quick, so you land that stun quite often. And you're trying to make sure you've got enough accuracy to land it. And if you've got room for it, you put a bit of crit rate in as well. Defense percent on the chest because he's a defense-based champion. And then I think he comes in and basically just adds that kind of level of control and damage within your teams. So you could end up running in Spider in a team like this. Basically, the stun is there to stop the Spiderlings from hitting you so much. Running with alongside a burner like a Mordecai here. And the stuns go off. I've got him with a mastery now, which gives us a bit more stun control. Perhaps I'm doing a bit too much damage, actually. But anyway, whenever the Spiderlings move, we've got a chance to proc the burn without them actually moving and hitting us. So it just gives us a good amount of time to get our damage away. This type of tactic is used a lot, actually, at high-level Spider. But you generally use someone like an Astrolon with a 100% chance to burn. 100% chance to stun. As it is, we're talking more like 50 to 60%. And, you know, really that's not consistent enough to really get the job done at a very high level. But I think he could come in here, as I say, like for a mid-game player that's really struggling with content like this, he comes in to give you that element of control, to just give you time, bit more time to get your terminated control champions away, bit more time to get your damage away, and yeah, you find that you start to be able to beat up some content you couldn't before. Obviously, this relies on having a form of damage. So Cold Heart's one form, Burns is another form. But yeah, you do need something like that. If we were in any wave-based content, so if we were trying to beat up level 20 dungeons here with a more normal style of team, I wonder if actually him and Seal together would be insane if you've got Seal already. If you haven't, then he kind of becomes a mini Seal, really. And I don't know who else we would bring. I'll try and bring a couple of rares in to make it less of an easy time. So someone like Frozen Banshee, got some gear on, I think. Apothecary. I don't know, maybe Kale. I think Kale might be naked. Anyway, this type of setup. So basically, what's going on here? We get stuns from Seal. Obviously, if stuns are out there, he does his A3. If not, he does his A2. But we now got another champion with a chance to stun. Interestingly, yeah, he didn't do his A2 when there were so many stuns out there. Maybe that's just his kind of like mechanics. But between the two of them, they're basically locking everything out. Yeah, and it becomes then just down to, can you bring some damage, or have you got a drop defense champion that enables your damage? You know, so it becomes very easy. The more you lock out enemies, the easier wave-based stuff becomes. And his stun mechanics are good. You know, he hits reasonably hard. He's got good stun mechanics. For an epic, as I say, he's actually a decent champion. So any wave-based stuff like this, I think is actually going to be valuable if you're trying to progress through the game. And I guess when it gets to the boss part of fights, depending on mechanics of bosses, like we've got a boss here that does have the ability to stun. Now, he's a little bit careless in using his removal stuns ability. Like, he doesn't wait until people are stunned. He just throws out the increased defense whenever he can. And actually, it would be better if his AI was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to wait until we need to use it. I don't know. I guess you've got two things. You've got an increased defense buff and increased resistance, which is really good. And then you've got someone that can actually clean off stuns who will, 9 times out of 10, if you're leaving it full auto like I am right now, he won't use it at the right time. Not that we need it here. We're doing enough damage to get through it. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, it just won't be available. So I don't love that. When they've got a dual use ability, it's not always great for someone who just uses it willy-nilly whenever he fancies it. But, you know, again, if you're struggling to get through a stage, or you're struggling to get through certain stages of Dragon and you're progressing and you are getting stunned up, you could kind of leave that skill on, basically do not use on the setup of the AI, and then you just kind of manual in when you need it as an option. Now, I can't show you like a mid-game arena battle because I get put straight into Plat 5 on the test server, but I kind of see him being used in this way lower down in the arena if you pick him up earlier game. Basically, he comes in as you go speed, either straight into this guy to control, or you go speed into this guy to control. He brings out his A2. Obviously, you would want to have more resistance and better RNG, I guess, to always kind of land it. But then you're setting up your damage to kind of come in over the top of his stun. Good thing about stun is it doesn't reduce your damage. So if you've got someone like a freeze champion, if you've got a freeze champion, then they actually get their damage reduced by stuns. Whereas if you've got someone who is a stun champion, your damage stays full whack. Increase resistance. Unless you're building resistance, it's not that big a thing. Hopefully we just pop the team pretty much. And yeah, that's where. So obviously I'm not saying you're going to have all these champions in a low division. All I'm saying is that's his use case. Set up, give your damage dealer time to get their damage away. And stuns are actually very good for that. That's why we see a lot of Miscreated Monster, a lot of Scylla the Drakes in lower level arena. So they just give you time to get your damage away. And they're naturally tanky champions. Okay, we're going to throw him into stage 21 Faction Wars here. I guess with a bunch of nobodies. She's naked. She's pretty naked. I guess we'll go with these four. Go with these three. Anything on you? No, you're naked as well. Shield Guard. Naked. Woad. Naked. Let's go over naked Woad and see how we get on. So I'm just thinking between Seal and this guy. I mean, if you don't have a Seal, I guess he becomes your Seal. And if you do have a Seal, then, you know, bonus really that you've got double stun chance. Yeah, and that's what's going on here. You're basically you've got 2 AoE stunners in the Barbarians faction. I've got to say, once you've already got Seal, this is the easiest faction. Yeah, Seal picks people up. She heals people. She has got AoE stun. It becomes a much easier faction to beat once Seal is in the mix. But this dude is like a mini Seal doing the same type of job really, but without the heal and without the revive. Obviously not as good. But yeah, you can just kind of see basically with, 3 people semi-naked, we're taking 0 damage because between the 2 of them, they are just locking out the whole enemy team. It's kind of pretty to watch. Let's see what he does on the boss. So against the boss, I mean, pretty much the best benefit you're getting here is AoE stun against side adds. I guess the extra resistance here against this guy to stop the fears and the provokes landing is pretty useful, or kind of useful. But it's not one of the AoE stunners for level 21, which I thought he might be. I couldn't remember. So yeah, I mean, it's not super effective in the same way Seal's not super effective against these. Albeit stunning the side adds, it stops them doing all of their shenanigans, I guess. And yeah, makes it an easier fight. And, you know, the added increased defense and resistance is actually pretty good. So yeah, I think for Faction Wars, he's good. He hits hard. He controls the adds along the way, controls the side adds on the boss. Doesn't bring anything more to the actual boss fight. But there you go. Look, guys, he hits hard. He's got control. He's not going to be an end game player's dream. But if you're someone who's progressing through the game, which is probably 99% of the people watching this, then I think it's going to be solid. Even at level 50, he's going to do the same job. He just won't hit as hard. So I think for a freebie champion, for the average player, go get him. He will help your account out, certainly running him at a level 50. Hey there, guys. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.